look like resumes, others feel like rebirths. Welcome back, listeners, to Cosmic Confluence Podcast. I'm your host, Sana. And for this episode, we are welcoming someone who has walked both paths. Dr. Crystal T. Harrell, a number one best-selling author, MBSR instructor, and public health scholar whose inner healing met outer achievement and then asked for something deeper. From public housing in Alabama to a PhD at Yale, Dr. Crystal's story is evidence based and soul anchored, listeners. Resilience with receipts. So, this episode is our invitation to slow down, breathe, and listen for the cosmic confluence, that quiet place where science meets spirit, where mindfulness meets momentum, and where success is not a mask, but it's a mirror. So, if you have been pushing, achieving, and if you're still feeling a gap within, you are in the right conversation, listeners. So, with that, Dr. Crystal, welcome to the show, and it's really an honor to have you here with us.
Oh, Sana, thank you so much. This is truly a pleasure to be here. I love how calming this space feels.
Thank you, thank you. Um, okay, so Dr. Crystal, let's start with first holistic health. Now I don't know. I mean, I feel it personally, or maybe it could be similar um, experience with our listeners as well. That nowadays holistic health it feels more like a slogan,
Mm,
not as a system. And when you say reconnect with wholeness, what specifically changes in someone's daily system? Like sleep,
mm,
food, boundaries, attention. So that inner healing starts translating into outer, tangible outcomes.
mm. Yeah, so every individual journey to healing and to wholeness is very unique. But the signs and the symptoms of being fully integrated into who you are as a human being, as a spiritual being, having a human experience, it's very common. So you at some point you get to a place of this inner peace of feeling like it doesn't matter how the external world changes. Whatever comes up, I know that I'm grounded in who I am. And so I can handle that adversity. And at least for me, on this personal journey, it's felt like a sense of acceptance for where I am in life on this journey of becoming and who I am, more importantly. Because I feel like before I was more so concerned with meeting the status quo and wanting to be this outer achievement on paper, especially. And at some point on your journey, back to wholeness, on your return back to the truest essence of who you are, you let go of all of those external achievements and you turn around to your internal world because everything that you do in life is a reflection of who you are. And so, what the path that you take to get back to who you are is very unique, but the wholeness that you feel as you return back home is universal.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I fully agree with that. I fully agree with that. So, Dr. Crystal, let's say if I only have 15 minutes a day, like
Mm,
genuinely, I'm performing multiple roles, um, and I genuinely have just 15 minutes with me. Is there
mm.
any single practice with the best downstream effect, or it depends on person to person?
So the spiritual practices that you put in place to help you ground and connect to who you are does vary, but I am a strong advocate for journaling because of just the influence that it's had in my life personally. So I don't follow any script when I journal. I look at it as a mental mind dump. And so it's getting everything that I feel out of my head, out of my heart and onto paper because it creates space internally. And journaling is a way for you to reflect on your own journey as well. So if you've been journaling, depending on how long you've been journaling, you can pull journals from the years of your life where you probably have forgotten about. And as you start studying yourself, you get to see more of your natural essence, like your nature. And I think no one can tell you really who you are because you're the only one that spends time with you every day. You spend the most time with you. And so if you don't know who you are in this world, then I believe it causes a lot of distortion in our internal field. So I'm a strong advocate for journaling, but you can also take time to do walking meditation. So getting out in nature, not taking any phone with you. If you do take a phone, definitely not listening to anything, not talking on the phone, but just you and Mother Nature and trying to observe everything that is in your surroundings. And so when I go for walking meditations, I always try to find trees that I haven't seen before or just look for things in my surroundings that maybe I may have missed the day previously. So it's definitely it varies from person to person, but I say that, as long as you try different, methods, different practices, and see which one feels the most intuitive to you. For me, it's always gonna be journaling, it's always gonna be walking meditations, but at different times in your life, it may change as well.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, but I think definitely journaling and that too, um, without any, I mean, I personally very, very strongly advocate for the old school style of journaling.
Me
There is
too.
feel it is it really feels I don't know, so calming and
Mm,
uh sometimes, that the
yeah,
biggest of thoughts they can translate into words beautifully. And
yeah.
that's really thank you for sharing that, Dr. Crystal. And yeah, you mentioned about your journey. So I'll just bring in that a bit into this conversation. Your true awakening, it came in 2018. You said was, one of the darkest seasons of your life. Um, if you can just, give like a glimpse or maybe like a, like a few moments, like how exactly it got translated, what exactly you had to deal with, what worked for you.
Mm. Yeah, this is a beautiful question as well. The reason why I say 2018 was the darkest year of my life or the darkest season of my life is because for the first time in my life, I was really faced with my own shadow and having to look at the fact that I was deeply, deeply miserable. I was living my life through the lens of a traumatized child, after growing up in the situation that I grew up in, being one of 10, growing up in public housing, which is basically government funded housing that they provide for people who live below the poverty level in the US. And growing up with so many people around in those living situations, always feeling like your peers were um, superior to you because you recognize that you don't have the same things that they have. Like it was just one of those things where I was very aware of the fact that my family was different. And things got even worse in 2006 when I watched my father lose his battle with the terminal illness. And that was the hardest part because my dad was my rock during that time. I was very much a daddy's girl, very much close to him. Um, and it was very difficult dealing with that at 11 because you don't fully understand what's happening. And so your body is going through all of these natural responses to trauma, right? Like for me, I was becoming more and more disassociated. I started having panic attacks, which I didn't know what they were at the time. But as I got older, I, started studying mental health and the effects of childhood trauma. And so I became aware of what was happening within me. But at the time, being 11, I didn't know what was going on. So I became a little bit more, I guess, reclusive, or if that's the right word. Like I disassociated from my environment. And that continued into my teens and then my early adulthoods, which led me into 2018. And this had been 14 years, since the event. And I was tired. Like I was so tired of pretending like everything was good when I was suffering internally. And so I remember one morning I woke up and I was so sad when I woke up. I was going through a breakup. I was dealing with so much uncertainty in myself. And I remember I woke up on this morning and I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, I wish I didn't wake up. Like, I wish I had just stayed asleep forever. And I saw that thought cross my mind, just like you would watch a train cross the tracks. And it kind of startled me because I've never been aware of my thoughts like that. I never seen my thoughts cross my mind like that so vividly. And I remember thinking at the time, like, wow, if I could watch that thought cross my mind, that means that's not me. I'm the awareness that's watching that thought. And so I wanted to get back to who I was. And then I had a second vision of myself as a child before the trauma of losing a parent. And I saw how happy I was. I saw how free I was. I saw how I smiled at life. I saw how my heart was open to life. And I wanted to know if it was possible to get back to that version of myself. And so I went on this journey of self-discovery intentionally 7 years ago to try to figure out if it was possible to return to a place of wholeness, to really be healed. And I can truly say it has been that like that has occurred for me. Like I no longer have panic attacks. I no longer live with anxiety or depression. I wake up and I'm totally in love with who I am because I took the time to get to know who I am. So it was definitely a dark season in my life, but at the same time, it was a catalyst for me because if I hadn't had that down moment, that dark night of the soul, so to speak, I would not have made that journey back home. I would have just continued in that way. Um, or just continued thinking that I didn't deserve to be on earth or that I didn't want to be on earth. And so I'm grateful for that moment because it kind of shocked me awake.
Exactly, exactly, 100%. It's like you having that inner dialogue, and that we sometimes call it as our higher self, or
Mm.
the spirit, the soul within us. It's
Yes.
kind of having that conversation with your inner critique, um, and that exactly made you aware, that exactly kind of made you get started on this journey to appreciate um, the life you have got, and uh, you know do something uh, good, make something out of it. uh,
Yeah.
and one more thing, which I think a lot of listeners will have this question in their mind, especially when we are on a healing journey. um Often through channels like journaling, or sometimes when we are trying to um, just be very frank with ourselves, and we are trying to revisit some of those memories, those uh, uh, the the darkest moments, those memories. Do you think dealing with them is a part of inner healing, or it can be avoided? Is it something like bad, or is it natural? It is bound to happen.
I think it's bound to happen that it's gonna come up. I believe it was Carl Jung who said that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our life and we will call it fate.
Mm.
Like you have to look at the things that are the I call it little like background music that's playing in your life. Like everything that you've experienced, whether you remember it consciously or not, it's impacting your life to a certain extent. It colors the lens in which you look through life. And I feel like, it's important to look at those things, but you don't have to do it like, you don't have to go through your soul and think like, "Okay, what are all the bad things that happened to me? Let me look at them now. Let me make sense of it now." Like, no, as you continue on your journey of self-discovery, the things that want to be felt and processed and let go, they will come up naturally. And then you work through it, but you don't have to do it on your own. I've worked with so many different counselors and therapists and hypnotherapists and spiritual healers who have helped me, let go of a lot of the things that come up, a lot of the shadows that have come up. But I was also very intentional about looking at it. And I think that a lot of people don't want to look at it because of the pain that it carries, but the pain is an invitation into greater healing. And that is the gift that this event or that this emotion is trying to offer. But you have to feel everything that comes with it. And that can be hard to do, but it's necessary if you truly want to grow.
Wow, that's very, very well put, Dr. Crystal. Oh, lovely. Okay, so now moving on to MBSR. So you teach mindfulness-based stress reduction. So
Yes.
once again, popularly people always would associate calmness with mindfulness or silence with mindfulness. But beyond this feeling of calmness, what are the measurable shifts you have seen, like, physiology, decision quality, impulse control, especially for high achievers, who are kind of always running on adrenaline?
Yeah, so I love this question because truly I teach mindfulness as not just a practice, but a way of life. It was Thich Nhat Hanh, his book Pieces Every Step that I read a couple of years back that truly helped me ground this teaching and this awareness because in his book he gave an example of how even something like washing the dishes can be a mindfulness practice. And he talked about how your awareness of the suds as they wash over the plate or the pot that you're washing and just being with that moment and truly just bringing your awareness to it. So like not thinking about what I have to do when I finish washing dishes or all the things on my to-do list, but fully being present with the task that you're doing. So mindfulness is definitely you can sit quietly, you can have this set aside a quiet space for mindfulness, but it's not just about how well you can sit quietly, it's about how well you can carry that calmness through every aspect of your life. And that takes practice, which is why, this is something that you do for, hopefully for the rest of your life is that you bring a mindfulness-based lens to the way that you live. But I've seen people truly let go of some of the deepest, most, I guess, the most deeply rooted stress that they felt in life. Because at the end of the day, um, your nervous system requires a sense of calmness if you want to have mental clarity. It's very difficult to put a lot of stress on your nervous system and on your body and think that you're going to be successful. You may obtain like monetary success or that title that you're working so hard for, but you won't truly feel successful if you don't feel healthy, if you don't feel well within yourself. So it's definitely a beautiful practice, but it's one of those things where I believe that I pray that the conversation shifts to more of a way of being than just, sitting quietly in a corner for 20 minutes. It's more than that.
Exactly. That is true. It's definitely more than that. And have you seen like any, like, let's say if we want to give out some actionables out for our listeners, like a box breathing or three breath reset. Um, any particular technique that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, so one of the techniques that I learned that has been truly transformational has been the body awareness. So it's basically where you can either do it lying down or sitting. But while you're in this space, it's kind of like mindfulness, but you're being more intentional with your awareness. So, for example, you're sitting. If you want to try this sitting, you can, but I like to do it lying down. But you first start with your awareness at your feet. And so you're just aware. You can wiggle your feet. A lot of people start to wiggle their toes, which is something I also like to do. And I'm just aware of the fact that my awareness is on my toes and that I have toes and that this awareness starts to move up my calves. And then I put my intention on my calves and maybe I'll squeeze those muscles and then release them. And then I'll bring my awareness to like my knees or then up my thighs. So it's really like you're you're bringing it and your awareness is traveling up your body and it helps you get more grounded because I think the thing with stress and trauma specifically is that it causes you to disassociate from your body. And so the intention behind mindfulness in this practice that I just explained is to bring your awareness back into your body so that you can operate in this world with a more grounded sense of awareness. And so that's one, which is we call it a body scan. There's also, I think you mentioned the breathing technique, like box breathing, which is basically you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold it at the top for 4 seconds, you release for 4 seconds, and then you hold it there for 4 seconds. And it's just this constant awareness of your breath. But you can also do this without counting. I like to do it without counting sometimes because I'm very kind of type A sometimes. And if I don't do it for 4 seconds, I'll freak out and I'm like, oh, I have to start over. So for me, I just get too much in my head if I try to count or do the box method. So I just bring my awareness to my natural breathing. And sometimes I'll focus on like making my in breath longer. So I'll take a deeper in breath and I won't count it, but I'll just hold it at the top. And then when I feel like it's time to let go, I'll release it. And maybe I'll do that a couple of times without focusing on the counting, but more so focusing on the motion of my breath as it I guess rises in my body and also is released. So there's definitely several methods, but those are some of the ones that I feel like are the most common or the most popular.
Oh, I think they are like literally, if we talk about like easy, but I think it's consistency definitely. Um, Even it's natural that when we are starting, it can be a bit difficult to do this daily. However, I think it definitely requires a bit of compassion and like
Mm,
gratitude, that let's be
mm,
thankful for the life we have got, and uh,
mm,
let's try our best in here. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a way out in there.
mm.
But yeah, these are really some good practices.
Yeah, I agree with you as well. I think of it as like riding a bike. Like I remember when my dad was teaching me how to ride a bike and how many times I fell off that bike. But when you keep getting back on the bike, eventually it becomes like second nature to you. And it again moves into using mindfulness as a way of life, as a way of living, than more so a practice because you never forget to come back to your breath, right? So it does take time and no practice is perfect. But I think as long as you keep choosing to get back on the bike, you'll eventually be riding and you'll just forget that, okay, I never forgot how to do this. And you'll just naturally come um, back to your own awareness. So I agree with you 100%. It takes time.
Yeah, yeah. I also do understand, because I think the most beautiful part here is that you have paired academic rigor with deep inner work. I mean,
Mm,
and this is all not just like mindfulness specifically. It isn't a mood. There is a
mm,
method here. There are tangible results here, and I think that's why this is more and more effective. And before we wrap up, Dr. Crystal,
mm,
when research and spirituality, they disagree on timing, like
mm,
data and scale now, especially we see this in business, or making some very critical life changing decision, that the data
mm.
or the history would say that I have made this mistake whenever I've taken this decision. So I won't, I don't want to take a risk. But my intuition, it says, not yet. Let's still try. Let's go ahead with it. What's your decision framework in there?
This is a great question because it's something I've actually sat with for a while.
Mm,
And I feel that I look at it like this. I've never regretted following my intuition, but I've always regretted when I didn't listen to it. So I just feel like my intuition is my higher self kind of guiding me towards my desired reality. And I see it as something that wants me to succeed and also cares about the well being of everyone that I am associated with. So my intuition is always speaking. It's just when I don't listen to it, that's when things get rough. So of course, there's a level of importance when it comes to making data-informed decisions, but your decision should never be solely data-based, and they teach us this in classes as well, that you should always take a level of, awareness into every decision you make as a behavioral scientist, as a researcher, so it makes sense as well that people make data backed decisions, which I think are very important, but they should always be integrated with a level of intuitive decision making as well. It's a delicate dance between the two.
yeah, I love that. It's definitely a delicate dance, but yes. Ah, beautiful, beautiful. So before we wrap up, Dr. Crystal, if our listeners, they would like to connect with you, what would be the best way?
Yeah, so the best way to connect with me is via my website. So it's crystaltharrell.com. and you can find all the resources there. I have a lot of free blog posts talking about holistic health and wellness, and also entrepreneurship and academic success. And I also have a YouTube channel, which you can find on my website as well, where I share more of these kind of like documenting the real life journey of the journey of self discovery. It's not perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't want to appear that way. I just want people and students, especially, to have a place to come to see that you can still be on your journey, and it can be perfectly imperfect, but you can still feel grounded in who you are. So that's where my resources are on my website, and you can join my email list as well to find out more about, any books that are being released.
Super, super. And for all the listeners out there, just refer to the show notes. I'll have all the links and details in there. So just refer to them along with this episode on your favorite podcast platform. And what I can take away from here, listeners, and I believe you will agree with me, that healing, it isn't a side quest. It is the operating system, the OS for a life that actually fits, that actually aligns with you. So, Dr. Crystal, thank you so much for being so open and sharing your thoughts and insights with all of us. Thank you. This was really, really beautiful.
Mm. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the questions because they gave me the opportunity to reflect and to be vulnerable. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Crystal. And to all the listeners, if this conversation stirred something within you, begin small and real. Maybe the one practice Dr. Crystal mentioned, maybe breathing or journaling, the one question that shift your lens, and the one action in your community. Because healing happens the best in community. And that's how inner path becomes outer success, one aligned step, repeated. Until next time, this is Cosmic Confluence, where science meets spirit and your story meets its next chapter. Thank you.